All right. Welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Byrne. Evan, how are we doing?
Doing well. Actually made a trade. I was having false hope that they weren't going to do anything.
All right. Now, in case you can't hear the sound behind me, we did just have a tornado siren come through right before the podcast. But you know what? I'm already committed to it. I've lived in the state long enough. Really not worried about it. Really not. Okay. I think this is a lot of false alarms over here. You know what? If something breaks through the windows, I will take cover at the appropriate time. But until then, we're just gonna roll through some Bucks news. So, but before we get to the Bucks news, okay, before we get to that, we're gonna discuss the games Milwaukee had last week against the Dallas Mavericks, Utah Jazz, and the Phoenix Suns. So, first up, they faced off against the Dallas Mavericks. Milwaukee, in a comeback victory, won 129-117. And first of all, this game, they were in danger of going 0-5.
Yep.
In the Doc Rivers era.
But thank goodness we're 1-4. Thank you.
So, luckily, Doc Rivers found another coach who could equally mismanage a game as bad as him.
Mm-hmm.
That is Jason Kidd, who, you know, as Bucks fans watch for years, he is not, like, managing a game is not really a strong suit. Running a coherent offense is not really a strong suit. And you saw that in this game with Luka Doncic scoring 40 points on 26 shots.
Yep.
The next closest player was Tim Hardaway Jr., who took like 15 shots. So not an efficient offense. Giannis, of course, it helped that he had 48 and Dame had 30. And Bobby Portis had a nice little 12-point, 10-rebound game. So, and one more stat I have for you, Evan, the Mavericks were outscored 99-73 after the first quarter. Just blitzed them off the floor. So what was your reaction to this game?
Oh, as most people thought, I thought the game was done in the first quarter because we were down 24 points. But if we're going to go down 24 points, it might as well be in the first quarter and hope that something can spark up, which they did. It was really after the first quarter for the Mavericks, they just fell apart. Next quarter, they only scored 21 points, and the Bucks scored 40, so they were right back into it. And I don't know, it was the most efficient shooting game from Dame. I think most people will probably know that by now. He only missed one shot, 5 for 5 on threes, missed one free throw. Again, solid 30-point efficient game scoring. I want to say probably his best scoring game. I wouldn't say scoring game. I would say shooting percentage-wise. Yeah, it looked like everyone contributed in some way, whether it was scoring or just on the defensive end, especially with having to come back from 24 points, and they did that so quickly. So everyone did their part. Jay Crowder had some big plays, defensive-wise. Scoring, it's Jay Crowder at 8 points. But, yeah, his big moments, I guess I want to say, was on the defensive end or just kind of fighting for loose balls. Same with Cam Payne, RIP. But, yeah, just overall, I think pretty efficient with the scoring and just solid defense, like not giving up, I guess, right away when, we're down 24 already. Like, let's just throw in the white towel and be done with it. They kept going the whole game. And again, sure, we needed a 78-point game from Giannis and Dame, but hey, a win's a win. Good comeback win for Doc Rivers' first win as the Bucks coach. So can't complain. I was complaining, but now I'm not about that game.
Yeah, and we were texting earlier in the game where we were like, well, this is probably going to be another loss because they got down, they were just kind of unserious.
It was so fast.
Because, as soon as you stick Robin Lopez in the starting lineup, now obviously, look, Brooke Lopez was out because him and his wife just had a baby. So, of course, he's going to miss a few games. Congratulations to the Lopez family. But, they threw Robin Lopez in there as our starting center, and I'm just like, they go down 41-20, and it's just like, well, if they could just kind of
slowly ease their way in.
Yeah, exactly. Like this Doc Rivers experiment, it wasn't going to be what's the word? Like it wasn't gonna. Not everything's gonna click right away.
Click right away. Yep.
So you're adding in a couple new coaches. You're just trying to install like a new system, new scheme, all that other stuff. So it wasn't gonna click right away. And once you throw Robin Lopez in there, a guy, backup center who's barely played the whole year, you're just like, well, if they could make these games close, but not necessarily win, like you'd kind of be happy with that. Eventually, hopefully they figure it out because they had so up, like so many games up over 500. Like I know not many people say that in basketball terms, it's more or less baseball terms, but Adrian Griffin did put them in a good spot. So, you just hope, all right, if they have a rough stretch, they can kind of ride this out and hopefully they can get back home and, really just make it until the All-Star break is what they were expecting. But I think what this game against Dallas kind of did for them is it kind of instilled some more confidence in there. Now, I know the next game didn't go as well, but, I think what this kind of installs, okay, if this team goes down early, when they deal with that adversity, they can kind of help out Doc Rivers and just be like we really want to play for this guy. We're still playing hard for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that was this was a good moment for this team.
Yeah, it was a good pick-me-up, especially for Doc Rivers. Obviously, you don't want to keep losing as the new head coach. It doesn't look good for you. It doesn't look good for the team or franchise itself. But, yeah, it was just kind of good overall momentum, I guess. Obviously, they don't win the next two games. But, again, you just got to slowly ease into it. Again, next game was kind of bad, but the one after wasn't as bad. But it's just something that needs to build up slowly. Again, like you said, it's not going to happen in 1 or 2 games. It's going to take a little bit, probably till the All-Star break. In another week and a half or so, or a little under a week. I don't remember, 14, something like that. Anyways, but yeah, slowly and surely kind of get there. I just think, especially with the next 2 games, a lot of these backup guys outside of, obviously we'll have Brook Lopez back. That'll change something else too. But guys like, since Bobby didn't get traded, Bobby's kind of has to pick it up, I think, a little more shooting wise. Again, taking 10-plus shots, I just don't know how much that's going to translate over into if it's going to be productive or not. Jay Crowder, too. Again, he had a decent scoring game against the Mavs. But, again, some of the other games, it seems like he's bricking everyone. I think the big guy that needs to step up the most is Malik Beasley. He's playing way too many minutes to be missing the amount of shots he's been taking. I don't know. I feel like he's just been missing every corner three. Obviously, he's not going to make every single one. When you're shooting over 50% in the corner and you're 3 for 8 or 3 for 9 on threes, and it's clear, wide open shots, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where you got to hope you hit more than the shots that you're taking. But I think down the stretch, what's really going to happen is how are the role players going to play and how are the bench guys going to be productive? Because Giannis and Dame are clearly doing what they need to be doing, but everyone else needs to pick up their slack. That's kind of what I see. In the long run of terms, especially from this game, but who knows what's going to happen now with the new acquisition and kind of getting back at home, starting a new win streak. So that's kind of my takeaway of just, again, these bench guys gotta step up.
Which, Evan, actually brings me to my next game. Bucks unfortunately lost to the Jazz 129 to 117. Obviously, blew a 19-point lead. But as you were talking about, the Bucks bench has really got to step it up. Well, hey, here's the thing. So Bobby Portis did try to do that. He had 27 points on 11 of 20 shooting. I took a quick peruse at the box score. He shot a little more than Giannis and Dame.
Yes.
2 shots more than Dame, and I think 2 shots more than Giannis.
5 shots more than Giannis, 2 more than Dame.
So is that what you're referring to? Is that you want Bobby Portis to be our new guy taking 20 shots off the bench? I've never seen Bobby take that many shots before.
I know. At least he made, again, it sucks that they lost because you discredit him for scoring almost 30 points. And he made over 50%. He was 4 for 7 from 3, made his free throw, had almost a double-double. But it's one of those things where if you're going to do that, you got to be efficient to do it. You can't be, a few games ago where he was 2 for 13, like something absurd like that, where it's, if he's going to be taking all these close shots and maybe a couple threes here or there, he's got to hit more than he's shooting. Because sometimes it really makes you want to gouge your eyes out watching these bricks and bricks and bricks, where it's like, again, you're a professional athlete. I'm not. But some of these shots I feel like just need to go in, or the shot choice needs to be a lot better. Because there are times where I just feel like once the ball's in his hand, he is doing nothing but taking the shot himself. But again, yeah, shooting more than Giannis and Dame is kind of crazy, but at least he was efficient enough. That's my only takeaway from that.
You know what they always say? Weird things happen in Utah.
Exactly.
When you have Bobby Portis turning into the next Manu Ginobili, then that's when you're just like, Jesus, well, I've never seen Bobby Portis take 20 shots in a game. Goodness, what's in that? Hey, what's in that mountain air over there? Goodness gracious. Bobby Portis out here thinking he's trying to be like Lou Will, like the 6th man of the year or something. Golly. So, yeah, I mean, it was tough. It was tough to go from like, and again, I'm not going to blame too much on the Bucks. I mean, it sucks to blow a 19-point lead, but at the same time, when you have a big comeback victory like they did against the Mavericks, like you expend a lot of energy doing that. And, okay, the Bucks had a 19-point lead, but it just feels like they just didn't have the legs to keep that lead.
Yeah, it was really, the starters played so much, and when you have to throw, you have no Chris and you have no Brook, that doesn't help at all. Jay Crowder played 40 minutes and shot 2 for 10, whereas like that's one of those things where it's, you're going to be playing 40 minutes and you're going to take 7 3-pointers and only make 2 of them, and 10 shots total and only make 2 of them. I don't know. It's one of those things that bugs me. But yeah, it was trying to get 40 minutes out of Jay Crowder and 36 from Bobby is a lot to ask for, which is not their main role. But yeah, that was just a frustrating game, especially because they've won twice in Utah since like 2001. 2001 or 2003, I think they've only won twice there. So they just never have luck in Utah as well. But yeah, just an ugly game outside of Giannis, Bobby, Dame, and I'll throw in Malik Beasley as well. Everything else is just horrible. Per usual.
Yeah, and it sucks because like the Jazz have been so bad this year. Like they're like in the middle of like a rebuilding stage where like they're not expected to make the playoffs.
Correct.
They are, however, very smart GM wise. Okay, because I'm pretty sure they just gave away Kelly Olynyk and Ochai Agbaji to the Raptors for a 1st-round pick, which is crazy to me. The fact that Kelly Olynyk went for
resulted in a 1st-round pick.
That's crazy. Like Kelly Olynyk is like, he's a solid player, but I didn't think he was like, you're giving up a 1st-round pick to get this guy.
Yep.
He's Louise.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to do like what the Jazz are doing. Obviously, they don't have as many picks, but kind of hopes that those build up. But yeah, what bugs me is all these random dudes who had like pretty decent games, like Keontae George. Clarkson chipped in 12 off the bench. I don't know if he's coming back from an injury that he was not starting, or if he just doesn't start in general. But yeah, the Keontae George having 19 points and 5 3-pointers was annoying.
The collapse really started in the 4th quarter, though.
Oh, yeah. They were up. They only scored 13 points in the 4th quarter. 40-13 4th quarter. Yeah, that'll do it. Do it.
And the defense isn't there yet. They're still giving up like a lot of wide open looks. I feel like it's getting a little better. Like Doc Rivers has kind of curbed it to where they less feel like all-star game scores. I mean, still struggling on certain aspects, but it's a little better than what Adrian Griffin had them running, because again, anybody wants to criticize the Bucks making the move early in the season. It's just like, I mean, look, the defense was just unwatchable.
Yeah.
And with as many talented players they had on the defense, like under Adrian Griffin, it just like, it was eye gouging. I hated watching the Bucks defense because it just felt like every game was like 136 to 130. Like it just it was painful to watch.
Yeah,
And
I think this is like the highest scoring they've given up under Doc Rivers, if not the second highest. So it's clearly getting better.
still ironing out the kinks.
They're
Okay?
just not scoring now.
Now we have another problem. Now we're not even outscoring teams. Now we're just have trouble scoring in certain stretches. So, again, we'll have to see. We'll have to see, but again, I think what people need to realize is I think Doc Rivers even knew that. I think he knew he had a tall task ahead of him with him taking this job ahead of Milwaukee having a West Coast trip against like some really solid teams. So, and again, and here's the other thing I'm gonna say. The All-Star break's coming up next week. Okay, I think if Milwaukee can win the next couple of games as they head into the All-Star break, I think that's gonna give this team a lot of momentum.
Yeah, I'm just hoping eventually they get better on the road. I'm looking at their road record. They're after the Suns game, they're 12-13. So kind of figuring out better ways to try to win when on the road instead of having to always rely on winning at home. But yeah, that's a big thing I feel like just in general too. But yeah, let's get to the All-Star break and see what happens. But yeah, and then obviously ending the what's it called? The road trip in Phoenix again. Another unfortunate doozy of a loss that I felt like could have been won, but always those small little things.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into that right now. So the Suns knocked out the Bucks 114-106. That score really wasn't indicative of how the game was. I felt like the Suns were like up for most of the game, and I felt like they were in control for most of that game. And really, it was unfortunate. The Chris Middleton injury suffered like 6:28 left in the first quarter.
Yeah, he only played 8 minutes.
Kevin Durant, like, by the letter of the law, it's a dirty play. I don't think Kevin Durant's a dirty player. I just think he wasn't as cognizant of giving Chris Middleton his landing space. I just think Kevin Durant was just trying to contest the shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think he may have either lost track of where his foot was or, I just don't think he gave Chris Middleton his proper landing space. I just want to kind of throw that out there. I don't think Kevin Durant is a malicious, dirty player. It's an unfortunate injury that Chris Middleton suffered. Do I think it's a long-term one? I'm not sure. I don't know what they've said.
Yeah, I was just looking that up as we were moving into it. They said his x-rays came back negative, but there's no timetable for his return.
So what I will say, I think the positive sign is he didn't leave right away. He played several minutes after the injury. Okay, but at that point he was just like,
it's not worth it.
At that point he was like, okay, I really can't walk anymore. Like, I can't get the same bounce into my jump shot or the same lift into my jump shot that I'm used to having. So I should probably just like check out, get this evaluated and stuff. So it is a good news that it's not like a high ankle sprain or anything, but
it's unfortunate because
it was
struggling with injuries. It's having good stretches, and then that happens where it's not even his fault. It's just an unlucky injury that happens so often, and I feel like he's just getting the bottom end so many times recently.
Yeah, and it sucks because Brian Anderson kind of expressed that, hey, Chris Middleton's been playing well, he's been healthy, and now all of a sudden he gets unfortunate injury where Kevin Durant actually steps on his foot while he's shooting a jump shot. So, and he was playing really well, like kind of at the start of that game. So
yeah, he's finally had some good stretch of games, but yeah, it's unlucky.
Yeah, and just kind of looking at the other aspects of the box score. When you have like Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker like have high scoring games, you're not winning that game.
Yeah, no.
And it sucks that the Milwaukee had to face off against those three because there were times where everybody's like, "Oh God, damn, those three have not played together in a while," and all of a sudden they're playing together. And when those three are coming at you, man, it's like it's so tough to stop.
Yeah, they literally only lost to them. Everyone else besides those big three really didn't have a huge impact. You could say Nurkic and Grayson Allen with 10 and 8, but yeah, outside of the three. And what really bothered me is Devin Booker and all his whiny little calls that he gets. All you have to do is just fly backwards 100 feet and you'll get a call. I feel like every jump shot, he like falls and then like scoots. It's like, dude, just stay on your feet. I don't know. The trying for fouls is always annoying to me, but yeah, his antics, I've never been a Devin Booker fan just in general. And Bradley Beal trying to act tough, doing like too little to AJ Green and Cam Payne. It's like, dude, you're not doing anything. You're really not. To do that to realistically like a 13th man is actually kind of crazy. But yeah, that was kind of cringe. You shot 10, sure, you had 25 points. You shot 10 of 22 and you missed six 3-pointers. You didn't make one till like the third or fourth quarter. It's like, relax, dude. Truly relax. You're not doing anything worth noting that people are going to go back to and rewatch.
I actually argue because Cam Payne actually had a nice game that game. He had 11 points off the bench.
RIP.
I honestly think that might have been the end of Cam Payne's tenure in Milwaukee when Bradley Beal did that to him. When he was just like,
yeah, get him out of here.
John Horst was watching that on the TV, and he was just like, well, we can't have our backup point guard just get punked like this.
Yep.
Like we gotta
confirm it.
we gotta make a move. Okay, we can't have this in the playoffs. You know, we gotta get a better defender in there and stuff like that. Again, Cam Payne's just too small. Like, and again, I don't know how people felt about Cam Payne. I don't think he was very consistent.
Yeah, I liked him. He just, it was streaky. I liked him out of all the people who were rumored to be traded. I kind of liked him the most, just with the potential impact that he has on defense. But especially in this game with a couple big plays that he had, like the 8-second challenge, 8-second overturn behind half court. But yeah, just chirpy guy. But yeah, just super streaky.
Yeah, and yeah, so. And you're right. You know, Phoenix doesn't have much of a bench. Like, goodness gracious. Evan, like, Bol checked in the game. And goddamn, I thought, like, I thought LeBron was checking in. I'm like, yeah, Jesus, it's Bol. What is it?
I like Bol.
What is it with some of these guys where it's just like.
The respect that these guys get for a weird reason.
That's crazy. Like, Bol got a standing ovation damn near.
I think it's the tall guys. Because you got Bol, you got Boban, you got Taco Fall. It's like all these skyscrapers. Met Bol's cousin this weekend. He used to play for UWM. Fun fact, Moses Bull. He was sitting courtside, so I had to dap him up when I was working. So yeah, little bloodline in Wisconsin for UWM. But yeah, Bol, man, long. He's like what Shaq says, like basically Wembanyama, just. He can kind of do it, but just Victor Wembanyama does a little better.
With less skill.
Tall, lanky dudes.
With less skill. Here's the thing. Yeah. I watched Bol in that game. He did he impressed me.
He had that block 3 on AJ Green, which is pretty cool. But everything else
that was cool.
Yeah, everything else is like.
Okay, but to be fair, like AJ Green does kind of have a long jump shot.
Yep.
It does take a while for him to get it up. So again, I like the hustle 3. He is long. But at the same time, it's not like Steph Curry shooting it.
Correct.
It's AJ Green. Like AJ Green doesn't have a quick release. It's not very fluid.
It back, holds it.
Yeah, it's not very fluid. It was impressive, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like anybody who's like tall in the NBA can do that. Like, shoot, I saw. And this is gonna sound like I'm hating, but like I saw Herb Jones do that a few weeks ago, or like a couple weeks ago. Well, I thought, like, when they were in the rumors for Herb Jones, I'd be like, dude, like, we got to get Herb Jones to Milwaukee. Like,
that perimeter shot block.
Like, congratulations to Bol for blocking our 13th guy's shot.
Yep.
Goodness gracious.
Hats off. Yeah, just losing to those 3 guys because no one else really did anything. Nurkic, again, pretty consistent game. Grayson Allen actually had an off game. Of course, he's doing better when he's on the Bucks. Yeah.
Actually, the quick note about Grayson Allen, he's actually the number 1 3-point shooter in the NBA.
Yeah, he's got a 50-40-90 right now.
He never did that in Milwaukee.
No. He had that few week run where he had like 8 3-pointers in the game, but yeah, or the Bulls series where in 2022 where he just shot lights out on 3, but yeah, just disappeared after that, and of course now he's good. It's always fun when that happens.
To be fair, I don't think anybody would take away like not trading greats. Like, we netted Damian Lillard out of that trade.
Yes.
So, I don't think anybody would be like. I think anybody would have done that trade in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
But now sometimes I just wish, now I wish we had Grayson Allen off our bench.
Yep. God, I wish we had a 3-point shooter that could just come off the bench. Oh wait, we did.
We did. So yeah, kind of talking about deals and deadline deals and stuff like that. So, first of all, I'm going to say this: the fans are funny. The fans are really funny because no matter what post the Bucks made, I would just read under it, and they would just be like, "Make a trade. What are you doing? Like, would you make a trade? WTF?" And well, Evan, the Bucks did make a trade.
Yes, they did.
Okay, they added point guard Patrick Beverly from the Philadelphia 76ers for Cam Payne, and I believe it was like a 2027 second round pick or some.
Correct. Yep, 2027 second rounder, and our guy Cam Payne.
So, immediate reaction to that trade.
I think it's funny how I feel like whenever the Bucks make a trade, I feel like it's always for a person who's never been in their rumor mill. Where it's like, again, you have Royce O'Neal, you have Bruce Brown, you have Matisse Thybulle, you have DeJounte Murray, you got Andrew Wiggins. Then it's like, let's trade Pat Bev. I personally really like this deal. I think Pat Bev is one of those guys who, if you were to, I'll say, we'll combine Javon Carter and PJ Tucker together. You got the good defensive end from Javon Carter, and you got that scrappy junkyard dog attitude from PJ Tucker, and you kind of put him into one. He's played under Doc Rivers when he was on Philadelphia. My brother was saying Philadelphia fans were pissed when they traded him. But I personally think this will be obviously biased, but I think it's a good plus for the Bucks just in general because they need a perimeter defender, and which he's well known for doing. And also just that scrappiness that they need, I think, back. They don't really have a guy who can get under players' skin, kind of get close and physical. It's like someone they needed to kind of pump them up. And I think he's going to be a good hype guy as well for these big plays to kind of get that momentum going. And I think they got him for a good deal. Again, I kind of like Cam Payne, but again, in the end, I'd rather have Patrick Beverly. Yeah, overall, I was kind of surprised about it just because they had never once mentioned Patrick Beverly. But I think in the long run, it'll be a huge benefit for them, especially with the perimeter defense that they're going to get from him. But yeah, good deal for him. And I feel like a good guy to have kind of helping these younger guys too.
I'm going to be honest. After we acquired Patrick Beverly, I barked. I barked. Okay, because you know what? When I talk about junkyard dogs, okay, when I talk about guys who could get in the mud, that's Patrick Beverly. Yeah, and honestly, I've always been a proponent of getting Patrick Beverly to Milwaukee, and I think Patrick Beverly's always low key wanted to come to Milwaukee. Okay, after talking with Giannis, okay, after even Giannis kind of semi-recruited him. Like if you watch that podcast clip, and I think we might have even talked about it last year on this podcast where we were like, where he did Giannis, where he impersonated Giannis. He was like, Pat, you come to Milwaukee, you win championship. He's always kind of wanted Patrick Beverly to come to Milwaukee. Now, now it's just like, okay, we'll take him off your hands for a second round pick and Cam Payne. It's perfect. Now look, do I think that Patrick Beverly is probably going to be the Buck the rest of his career? No, probably not. Look, he's a team-to-team guy at this point in his career.
Yeah, he just goes where he's needed.
Yeah, he's not nobody's going to be like Patrick Beverly's going to be on this team next year, but he's good for the stretch run we're going to be on. Okay, and just a quick programming note: he actually played under Doc Rivers for the Clippers, not the 76ers.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so he was a well-respected member in that Clippers locker room. I think, the one clip I think about Patrick Beverly is Obviously people want to talk about the Westbrook clip. I more or less think about like Lonzo Ball's first game as a pro when he just punked him.
Yep.
Punked him in his first game as a pro. When his dad was talking all that stuff, Lonzo Ball had to go up against Patrick Beverly, and Patrick Beverly punked that man. Like, and again, this is the defense I'm going to expect Patrick Beverly to bring. And look, I understand. A lot of people are going to be like concerned about like, the so-called, iciness between Patrick Beverly and Damian Lillard. And let me tell you something. Nobody's worried about that. Okay? Because at the end of the day, they're there to win a championship. Of course, there's going to be rivalries. Of course, there's going to be at some point bad blood between two players. But once you join forces, like, that's all over. Like,
yeah, they've already squashed their beef. They like brought up old tweets about Patrick Beverly talking about Lillard. But yeah, they're ready. They're ready to play. Goals to win the championship. That's what they're going to do.
Then Patrick Beverly's just there to win. Like, he's not there's not going to be, again, there's probably, there's really nothing I can compare it to, but it's kind of like when you're partnering up with someone you don't like, and you just kind of have to work together to.
Yep. You want an A, so you got to work together somehow to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah. It's no different. I mean, you're not going to get along. You're not going to get along with everyone, but at some point you need to get along. And again, I think it was a small concern, but I think kind of after Patrick Beverly's like, I gotta squash this thing with Dame.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I hate this dude. He's like, it was like super minimal about it, but
and again, if Patrick Beverly and Russell Westbrook could come together and like join forces, then I'm sure Patrick Beverly and Dame Lillard could do the same thing.
Yeah, I don't see an issue. I'm not worried at all.
Patrick Beverly is one of those guys who you love him when he's on your team, but you hate to play against him.
Yes.
1,000% when he is. Okay. I'll admit, when he was on the Timberwolves and he got a couple of our guys technicals or ejected for the game, I hated Patrick Beverly. I was like, this guy's not an NBA player. I don't get it.
Oh, he's on our team now? Cool.
But now that he's on the Bucks, I'm like, sign me up for more Patrick Beverly.
That was me with PJ Tucker.
This guy is a content machine. When he pulled the camera out last year after LeBron got fouled against the Celtics, that's funny.
I forgot about that.
That dude's like Patrick Beverly's funny. So no, I'm never going to say another bad word about Patrick Beverly as long as he's on my team. Now, I'm not expecting him to bring any offense. I don't care about that. Okay. I think I do worry a little bit about what our bench offensively is going to look like with Patrick Beverly because he's not going to add anything on that end of the floor. But defensively, it's going to be a lot better.
Yeah, I feel like, again, I mentioned earlier, kind of like losing Javon Carter kind of sucked with the defensive end. But yeah, looking at his stats, he's a 6'3" kind of guy. So again, you're not going to get offense. If it happens, it's like a bonus. But yeah, it's just going to be, you're going to get the scrappiness from him. And I think that's exactly what they need coming off the bench. They just don't have someone who can fire up the team in a defensive way consistently. Obviously, you have Malik Beasley will have a play here or there. Jay Crowder would. Cam Payne has had one before, but it's not a consistent. And I feel like he has that ability to just kind of, again, keep him going. I think he'll help a lot with Bobby Portis. I feel like those two can kind of go hand in hand, especially if someone's intimidating Bobby. Now you got Pat Bev to kind of work with him as well. But yeah, overall, I really like it. I think he'll do well. Obviously, he's not going to play with them tonight, but yeah, hopefully in the next game or two he's here. But yeah, I'm excited to watch him. Again, he's one of those guys where, again, you hate until he's on your team. But I don't know. I think it'll be beneficial. I think it'll be nice to kind of have him. Again, it's been coached by Doc Rivers. Just an overall, I think, perfect fit for the team outside of all the other rumored players as well.
And I'm so glad you brought that up because John Horst acquiring Patrick Beverly basically means like, okay, we're not going to have any opponent lay a finger on Giannis. Okay. This is just basically another Giannis enforcer to be like, if any of you guys treats out if one of you guys lays even a finger on Giannis, I'm going to tell you what, we're going to knock you out.
Yeah, you just add that chirpiness to the team. It's kind of nice where they didn't have to give up a whole lot for one player. Like they didn't have to trade Bobby Pat. Obviously, not a big Pat fan. I hope Patrick Beverly gets most of his minutes, but you didn't have to give up 3 guys for one player. Just kind of depending on who that is. So it's kind of nice though that they again only gave up a pick and Cam Payne. Not really a huge asset to the team as much as some of the other guys.
Speaking of small assets to the team, Milwaukee did make another small-time move.
Yep, I was going to bring that too.
Trading Robin Lopez to the Kings for cash considerations. What was your immediate reaction there?
It was kind of random. I don't know. I pulled it up. I don't know if you saw the tweets that he sent out about it. So obviously they're going to waive him. He was traded to the Kings. I'm assuming for cash to then maybe get someone on the buyout market. That was my dad's thought. But yeah, someone tweeted, he tweeted, I enjoyed being teammates with Patrick Beverly for all of an hour and 45 minutes. I'll never forget those times. And then someone said, thanks for all the memories in Sacramento. Kings legend, once a king, always a king. Obviously, he's never going to play a second there. And he said, I just hope it's enough to get my number in the rafters. I hope I left a legacy there. I don't know. It's he's funny on social media. I enjoy Robin Lopez, but again, it was one of those things where why was he here? He didn't really have any impact on the season at all. Again, he had those like 2 starts, but because Brooke was gone. But it was one of those things where why was he here to begin with? But it's always kind of nice to get some cash, and maybe they'll be a little more aggressive in the buyout market when some of these guys are just being bought out. So I'm assuming that's the plan. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, just lost another good one. Our literal end of the bench.
Yeah, and if you want to really know a play that was indicative of the Robin Lopez second stint with the Bucks, it was that play where it was against the Jazz. Actually, this happened just recently where he got a shot blocked.
Yep, just went up, and then Kessler just boom, pushed it right back down.
And then he got it back, and then when he passed, it just went out of bounds.
Yep.
That was a Robin Lopez era. I was like, Jesus, this.
Yeah, he's out of here.
I think John Horst watched that, and he was just like, we can get rid of this guy too. This guy's not going to be a big part of our future plans. So we gotta, we gotta cut our losses here. We gotta hopefully get someone on the buyout market. Now, a lot of people have a lot of different ideas about who they're going to add. I really don't know. I thought PJ Tucker, but from what I heard, PJ Tucker's probably going to remain with the Clippers for the rest of the season. And honestly, I don't even know who else is out there. I've heard Spencer Dinwiddie, but I heard Spencer Dinwiddie could be signed by the Lakers. So I'm really not 100% sure who they could add. I'm really trying to think how active the Bucks have been, because there have been new rules to where you can't just add any buyout player.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I don't know if the Bucks could add Joe Harris if they wanted to. Just because I think they're trying to make it more even, so that bench players like that can't just join up with contenders. So I think they did change the rules with that to kind of make it a little more even. So again, realistically, I don't know how much better the Bucks could add to their team, but we'll kind of have to see, within the structure or within the rules of who they could add.
Yeah, reading this article, it says due to the CBA, players with salaries above the $12.5 million non-taxpayer mid-level exception cannot sign with teams above the first tax apron. Those teams, they list a bunch, and the Bucks are one of them. So, looking at it, it's like you got Dinwiddie, Bertans, Kyle Lowry, Corey Joseph. So some of these guys they won't be able to get just based off of the salary, which is understandable. I think that's a fair statement, but it just is unfortunate that the Bucks land under that for some of these guys who could help them. But realistically, if they could just somehow finesse their way to get Spencer Dinwiddie, that would just be unfair. And I would feel the same way if that happened to another team that we're kind of competing against. But you got James Bouknight, not a bad option. Seth Curry, Joe Harris is on here, Evan Fournier. Marcus Morris. So again, some of these guys who maybe could have an impact, but really not as much. Robin Lopez.
And oddly enough, I think this might have stemmed from like what the Bucks did last year. I think that's kind of where this rule comes from. Because if you remember, there were a couple teams who were miffed when the Bucks signed Goran Dragic.
Yes.
So that might have been where that rule stemmed from, where it's like, wait, how can they get like all these players in the buyout market? That might have been where that rule came from. I'm not 100% sure, but like, and I get it. You know, these teams want to make things like a little more even, so that the contending teams aren't always signing like castaways from bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, those names that you mentioned, like, I can understand from their perspective where it's like, wait, why do these like still very good players could still sign with these contenders?
Exactly. But yeah, so they'll lose out on some, which again, understandable. But I'm assuming they'll probably pick up someone at least. They'd be kind of silly of them to not do that. But yeah, I'm assuming they'll just get someone who knows could maybe have like a small impact with them, but doesn't hurt to try someone out.
Yeah. So I did have one more question. Are you surprised that the Bucks didn't make more moves at the deadline?
Yes and no. I feel like I don't know. We always get like teased with about all the rumors of Bucks are going to be extremely active in the trade deadline. Like John Horst is working hard to stay and it's like all these of like active, extremely active, and then they do one trade like barely before the deadline ends. So I'm not really surprised, but I'm just kind of surprised at how out of all the people they had Bobby, Pat, we'll say Marjan, Cam Payne. Out of like 4 guys, they only traded one of them after all the countless rumors. Again, rumors are only rumors. But yeah, I'm not too surprised, but I kind of like that they kept Bobby and stuff. Again, it's one of those things where it's you trade him, cool, but you're really going to need someone to fit that role back. And I think who they traded for and who they traded is a good match. And I think that was good for the Bucks, especially with DeJounte Murray not being traded and some of those other names that they were rumored for just not being traded in general. So clearly they didn't probably have enough the assets to get these guys. But no, I'm not too surprised, but I'm satisfied with who they got.
No, and let's be completely honest here, okay? The NBA trade deadline sucked this year.
It did. Really it was so boring. No one big got traded.
No, see, and that's the thing is where I can understand from Milwaukee's perspective, where it's like I felt kind of earlier in the day where it's like it's going to be kind of a low-key deadline because as soon as I read that the Hawks were hanging on to DeJounte Murray, I really don't know why. They're 22 and 29. They're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
I was just like, yeah, I just don't think many people are going to get traded. Like, and even before that, I just don't know how many big names were like, oh my God, if this guy goes, like that could make or break a team's championship hopes. Like, I just didn't feel that way. Like when we're talking about like Bruce Brown, like the Raptors are keeping Bruce Brown as a thing.
It's like, why? Like, what are
when that's a thing. And by the way, I made a mistake a few weeks ago. Well, I assumed like Bruce Brown was like still on the Pacers, but apparently no, they had already traded him. They traded into the Raptors for Siakam. So, I did want to apologize for that after I kind of watched that back. I was like, shoot, he's actually on the Raptors. So after I kind of read that, like I guess the Buddy Hield trade, I guess if we want to throw that in there, was like a big deal. Fine. But no, it was a very low-key deadline. I just don't think many big names got traded.
Yeah, I
was bored out of my skull. There was no like everybody's saying the Knicks are like now going to go to the NBA Finals because they acquired Alec Burks and Bogdanovich. I'm like, what are we talking about here?
I'm shocked that Bogdanovich actually got traded. It took them long enough to finally get rid of him, but the Pistons kind of got a little haul though for who they got. But Evan Fournier they'll buy out. They'll probably keep Malachi Flynn and Quentin Grimes and Archie Diacono. But I did see Gordon Hayward got traded to the Thunder. kind of
Which we knew that was
random.
going to happen.
Yeah, I think that kind of helps with the Celtics, the Thunder in general. Again, you get a little veteran presence. Now they're good without him. He's kind of fallen off, but I feel like if he's on a team that's better contending. But yeah, just a lot of just no names being traded. Not no names, but like nothing.
Like if you're not
crazy.
serious about the NBA, if you don't seriously watch the NBA, you're not really going to know who these players are.
Yeah.
Like we know them because we seriously watch the NBA, but like, if you're really just like, can only name like a few players, you're just like, I don't know what any of these guys are.
Yeah,
Like,
it's at the
I
end
don't
of the day,
care.
it's not gonna.
Like if you first started following the NBA and you're just like the first day you started following it was the trade deadline, you're just like, I don't know who any of these guys are. I don't know what value they bring to a team.
Yeah, there's not a lot. Doug McDermott was traded. But yeah, it was. Or Royce O'Neal did get traded. Of course, he got traded to the Suns. They traded Yuta Watanabe.
Well, but for 3 second-round picks.
Yeah. Again, that is just something where it's not worth doing for the Bucks. I think they made a mistake with doing that much for Jay Crowder. But yeah, some of these guys where it's like.
Yeah, we just ran out of picks.
Yeah, like Grant Williams ended up getting traded too. I didn't see that one.
And see, that was the other thing too, is people like earlier in the week it was discussed before the trade deadline started that the Bucks and the Mavericks were talking about a swap with Bobby Portis and Grant Williams, and like I think every Bucks fan was just like, let's not do that.
Yeah, no, that
doesn't make us better.
Yeah, looking at I think the big one is Pistons really got a lot, but I think some of the random ones where it's like, where did it go? The heck? Oh yeah, the Hornets getting Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and a first round 2027 pick for PJ Washington. Like kind of a steal, not gonna lie. Sure that might get bought out, but then you get cash. It's like kind of setting each other up. But yeah, some of these trades are just so random.
Yeah, just
Grant Williams finally signs.
And by the way, the only reason why I think the Pistons did a lot is because the GM's really just trying to save his job.
Yep.
Like the Pistons have been abhorrently bad, and the GM's like, let me just keep throwing darts at the dartboard, and one of them's got to stick.
Yep.
So, he's trying to save his job. I get it. Trying to offload all his veteran talent. He didn't really want to give away Bogdanovich last year, but God forbid. Now we've only won like 6 games this year, 6 or 7 games. So like, God, let's just offload everybody.
Yep. Yeah, they got to get the ball back, but yeah, it's not going to change anything.
Yeah, so, Evan, you got anything else?
No, I was checking my phone to get some notifications as well, but Damian Lillard is out tonight. So cool. That's not fun. They play the Timberwolves are back at home. They play in like less than an hour. But yeah, they got Timberwolves tonight, Hornets tomorrow, and then they start back up on Monday, home against the Nuggets. So they got a 4 home game stand. But yeah, hopefully Pat Bev is here. Fingers crossed for tomorrow. If not, he'll probably play in the Nuggets game on the 12th. But yeah, I always forget it's already Thursday. This week's been flying by. But yeah, got a little back-to-back. No Lillard tonight, so we'll see how that goes. But again, fingers crossed. They need a win. They need to come back at home and win. That's all I need for my sanity.
Yep. So thank you guys for tuning in to the special edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. So we'll see you guys next week.